Now, Russia's security service has foiled a terror plot in Moscow. Several men suspected of planning attacks were arrested during a raid in the capital. Well, crossing now to Ilya Petrenko, who joins us in the studio to tell us more. So what do we know about this raid, Ilya?
Marina, it is a big relief for the city because it's a second such raid within just about a week. This time, the group of suspected terrorists was made up of 4 men, 3 Tajikistan nationals, and also 1 from Moldova. Security forces raided their homes and found several automatic firearms, also ready-to-use improvised explosive devices, and a further stockpile of explosive substances that they could have stuffed into more devices. And the Federal Security Service says that they were plotting terrorist attacks in public spaces in Moscow following direct orders from an emissary of Islamic State based in Turkey.
And what does it actually reveal about how the people who mastermind these attacks operate?
Unfortunately, we understand that for the last 2 decades, every once in a while, terrorist attacks, deadly terrorist attacks, rocked Moscow and other cities in Russia. But most attackers were from the North Caucasus. Now, this time, as the head of FSB warns, recruiters from ISIL have turned to a new tactic. The people that they're looking for is citizens of former Soviet republics, immigrants who have failed to blend in with Russian society. And there you have it. This time it was Tajikistan and also Moldova, which isn't even an Islamic country. Now, it is fair to say that the efforts of recruiters and subsequent terrorist squads have been on the rise because the FSB this year alone, they have prevented as many as 42 terrorist attacks, they say. So, of course, it is a big relief that so far they've been successful in preventing those tragedies.
Indeed it is. Well, yeah, thanks so much for talking to us. Ilya Petrenko here with an update on the story. And after months of fretting over alleged Russian attempts to disrupt the U.S. presidential election, the American media now seems to think it's found the main culprit.
Vladimir Putin was personally involved in the Russian attempt to disrupt the U.S. election. Putin's role was directing the use of the hacked material.
NBC News cites unnamed U.S. intelligence officials who have, quote, a high level of confidence that Putin was personally involved in the Democratic Party hacks. Washington has pointed the finger at Russia several times, but so far no evidence has been made public. And now the White House claims the Kremlin is also influencing the American media.
News organizations in the United States essentially became the arms of Russian intelligence.
Author and journalist Chris Hedges says Washington tries to discredit certain media organizations by linking them to the Kremlin.
This is really code for going after news outlets that give a platform to leaks from WikiLeaks. The whole idea that these particular news organizations are fifth columns for the Russian government is a form of red baiting. It's a form of McCarthyism. There's no conclusive evidence that Russia was behind the leaks, but even if they were, the U.S. government does this all the time. I was given all sorts of information by the U.S. government to tarnish and, in some cases, totally discredit figures or regimes that they wanted discredited.
But despite numerous investigations and media hysteria over Russia's alleged meddling, President Barack Obama is now claiming the leaks weren't actually that interesting.
The leaks of what were, frankly, not very interesting emails that didn't have any explosive information.
The leaked emails, which the outgoing president apparently finds so unimpressive, were made public by WikiLeaks. And let's recap on some of the revelations. One leak showed that Hillary Clinton's camp was colluding closely with the media during her election campaign. Another exposed the Democratic Party's preference of Clinton over her rival, Bernie Sanders. And she was caught out again when the public was made aware that Clinton knew American allies, Saudi Arabia and Qatar, supported ISIL. President Obama also complained that attention focused on the content of the leaks rather than the fact Russia was supposedly behind them. Former British Ambassador Craig Murray seriously doubts Moscow was involved.
We know for certain from WikiLeaks that the source of the email material on the DNC and on Clinton was not Russian, and it was not a Russian government source or Russian government proxy. So they could never ever hope to prove something that isn't true. Well, the American media has connived at keeping secret what was in the leaks all along. Whistleblowers will always be a great danger to the morally corrupt, and that's what this episode illustrates.
And Worlds Apart is up next on RT International with Oksana Boyko. Just stay with us.